This is the Ultimate Court Card Guide. Now today we're talking about the Knight. Yes, it's dedicated to the everlasting fiery Knight. Now hot and dry, a review from the last video. Now the Knight is pretty ambitious. The Knight has things to do, places to go, all about traveling and adventuring. In the old court, the Knight would run around and collect the taxes. The Knight would do battle. The Knight would do quite a bit of things. So constantly in motion, getting things done. They love a challenge. Pretty ambitious as well. They're not afraid to get out and get dirty. Now they're all about traveling and action. Now you remember the pages are about messages and about new beginnings. The Knight is getting that new beginning and running with it, going with it, traveling, getting action done. And you'll see a lot of that coming up when we talk about what the Knight does on a day-to-day basis. And taking the wheel and taking charge, not really hesitating for a lot of different things. So again, what are the differences between the Page and the Knight? The Page, again, was more of a beginner, of a startup company per se. And the Page gets things started. They get messages as well. We're getting messages from here to there, communicating things within the court. It's important to get that done. Now we have more experience now. Now we're grown up a bit. Now we have the Knight. It's going to be better at love. If you have a Page in a love relationship, could be looking at, a beginning of a love relationship, messages about that relationship, but they're not really firmly established. They're not very good at keeping the relationship running sometimes. So the Knight's going to be better at that. The Knight is also going to have more movement. So if we're starting a company, instead of just having the beginning, now we're running with the company. Now we're going with it. Now we're getting it done. I started a YouTube channel. How's it going to do? Well, the Knight says you have more action, more movement in that YouTube channel. You're not just getting started now. You're getting rolling. You're getting it going on. So there's a difference between the Page and the Knight. So before we start out with the full Knight experience, we have to look at what is a decan or a decan. That is a subdivision of an astrology sign. In other words, if you have an astrology sign, let's say, for example, this one, we have Cancer, right? We have Cancer. Cancer is 30 degrees. And if we split that up into 10-degree segments, so we have right here, we have 10 degrees. Here is 10 degrees, and here is 10 degrees. That is a decan. Let's go look at the definition. So each decan of the sign is assigned rulership by a planet ruling the sign and secondary rulership by the planet ruling the decan, right? So within the 30 degrees, we have three segments. We have 0 to 10 degrees, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. Why is this important, you're asking? I thought we were talking about Knights. Well, we are, because a decan is what's going to be the home of the Knight. So the Knight has the complete sign. The Knight is talking about all of the sign. But within there, we have three more cards that share a house with the Knight. So there's a card associated with each particular decan. And we're going to talk about in a minute, for example, Cancer. Let's say this is the Knight of Wands, whatever. This is not exactly the Knight of Wands, but you know what I'm saying. We have three minors that are going to be within the same household as the Knight is. So it's like the show Friends. We just have a bunch of people in the house. And we need to know this because if we see one of these minor cards next to the Knight or around the Knight in the spread, now we're getting a theme. Now we're getting a real theme started about this particular card. So the Knight shares these house with other people. So let's sort of start out like that. Again, it's sort of like Friends. Let's say the Knight of Wands, for example, shares a house with a minor. And we see these two cards in a spread. Now we're really, really getting the same type of theme going in once we have the Knight with their housemates, with the roomies. The Knight could have the roomies. So when you see these three cards associated with a Knight, we're talking about roomies. All right, so let's start out with the Knight of Wands, or Judge Judy in motion. Judge Judy in motion. Now, Judge Judy is pretty blunt. Judge Judy knows what's going on. Also very outgoing, very expressive, likes to express herself, likes to get things done. Doesn't like a lot of BS as well. Wants to get to the matters and wants to get to the bottom of what's going on. Very, very fiery, active, blunt, and let's go get it. Now, I say in motion because most definitions of the Knight of Wands talk about a lot of motion. Not as much as the Knight of Swords. I mean, not as much. But we are talking about quite a bit of motion when we do this. So we're leaving, right? So Arthur Wade up there at the top right talks about moving, leaving, migrating. So if we see this, maybe, someone asked, hey, am I going to get to move this year? I've been trying to move to a new house. You pull the Knight of Wands in there, ooh, you're looking really good at this point. That is a lot of fiery action of leaving, moving, migrating, getting that motion in. It's going to be pretty important as well. So again, when we're talking about Judge Judy, we're talking about a very expressive, a very blunt, a very, sort of hammering it down, getting it done, not wasting a lot of time as well. So when we're sort of moving, leaving, migrating, we're over here. So some of the key words here are being an extrovert. Judge Judy is not an introvert. It doesn't seem like it, at least on the show, right? Judge Judy is an extrovert. Also impatient. Doesn't really want to hear a bunch of garbage from people. She wants to get to the heart of the matter. And again, with that very adventurous side as well. We want to get that moving feel we have from the previous slide, right? Moving, leaving, migrating. So if we're talking about, should I leave my job? Well, you got the Knight of Wands. That's a very movement-oriented card. If it's reversed, maybe we want to think about that first. Maybe that leaving, maybe that moving is not a good idea. If the Knight of Wands is surrounded by bad cards, maybe moving turns out to be a bad factor within our lives. Maybe moving triggers some other things that could be more challenging, right? So we're moving from place to place. Maybe the Knight of Wands is going to be our key here. But again, extroversion is key. And why do we say this? Because think about the Page of Cups. That was an introvert. The Page of Cups was an introvert, didn't want anything to do with the extroversion, but the Knight of Wands is completely opposite. So with these two, the Page of Cups and the Knight of Wands, probably not the best date. Probably not the best date to go out. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it wouldn't be pretty good. Again, impatient. When we're moving, when we're trying to get facts, Judge Judy doesn't want the BS. And again, passionate as well. We're not at a place where we just don't care. A lot of people are there, right? I just don't care. It's like, whatever. I'm checked out. I don't care. The Knight of Wands isn't there yet. The Knight of Wands does care. Very passionate and adventurous as well. So that's sort of the Knight of Wands. So let's look at the Knight of Wands in a reading here. So the Knight of Wands in the upper left up here, right? Now, the Knight of Wands, along with the Five of Wands, conflict, that they could be causing conflict with their extroversion, their impatience. They could be causing some conflict. So if you have the Knight of Wands, maybe you're moving, your action, your passion, your extroversion. All this stuff is causing some conflicts. And at the bottom left, we're also causing change. We've caused change. Why does that happen? Because when you move, maybe we're moving to a new house. Maybe we're moving to a new apartment. That could instigate some big changes, some big uproars within our life. Big opportunities as well. The Knight of Wands, we pull that. We're extroversion. We're starting that new business. We're getting things. We could be looking at big opportunities because of that move. Big opportunities because of our adventure, our passion. Could be looking at a lot of good things here for opportunity-wise. So what are the roomies? What are the roommates for the Knight of Wands, you ask? Because I talked about decans for so long, you're like, why did you do that? Let's look. Let's look over here for the roommates. The first one is the Cups, the Seven of Cups, choices. That makes sense. That makes sense. The Knight of Wands, our extroversion, our adventure, gives us more choices. Moving around like we do, moving around like that gives us so many more choices. If we just sat at home and just spam watch Netflix, may not have as many choices as stuff as we do once we're getting out and getting that adventure in. So one of the roomies, one of the decans, is going to be the Seven of Wands, those choices. And the next roommate is the most obvious one and the most easy to remember. The movement card, the Eight of Wands. Come on, you saw it coming. You saw it coming. The movement card is going to be associated with the roommate of the Knight of Wands. So again, now we have the Nine of Wands. So the 8 and 9 of Wands. The Knight of Wands is being a bit injured. We got to be injured. That happens. The Knight of Wands, the 9 and the Knight. Those two go together. They sound like the same. The 9 and 9 of Wands. They sound the same. But the 9 of Wands is about being injured. We're injured while we're out doing stuff, out adventuring. So we have roommates make sense. Let's say we have all 4 of these cards in a reading. Now we're really, really talking about movement. This is very, very centralized around the Knight of Wands if we see a bunch of these cards in the same reading. A lot of theme here if we see these combos. So when's it going to be a good time? When are we going to be happy to see the Knight of Wands? Is he ever going to move out? That bum is still here. They're still here. He hasn't paid rent. Is he going to be moving out? I throw down the Knight of Wands. I'm going to be pretty content. I'm going to be pretty happy. How's my new business going? Your new business is rocking. Your new business is really going strong, dude. How's my new business? The Knight of Wands. I throw that down. I'm pretty happy. Oh, how's my new business if I see the Knight of Wands and some roommates? Holy moly. It's exploding. How's my new business with a bunch of roommates and the Knight of Wands? We're talking about some excitement here. Are we going on that trip this summer? Is the corona going to stop us from going on that trip? No. I think it's going to be pretty good for you to go on that trip. I mean, that's going to be good news coming to the Knight of Wands. All right, let's move on to the next night. Spent so much time on this night. I really want you to understand these. This is my passion here, to get you to understand this stuff. All right, so because a lot of people just throw this down. They're just confused about what all this means. So I'm just trying to throw down and let you know here. So let's talk about the next one, the Knight of Swords. Now, if you've watched the Roadrunner cartoons, you sort of have seen the Knight of Swords. Go watch a Roadrunner cartoon if you haven't. It's on YouTube, I'm sure, somewhere. But the YouTube Roadrunner cartoons have the Wile E. Coyote. Now, he's constantly trying to trick the Roadrunner. He sets up these elaborate traps and for the Roadrunner, and they never work because they're badly planned out. You see this with SpongeBob as well. SpongeBob has all these elaborate plans. They never work out because they're dumb. They're just bad plans. And that's what Wile E. Coyote does. And that's what the Knight of Swords does as well. He rushes in. The Wile E. Coyote is constantly rushing in, hurrying in, running as fast as he can, getting there as fast as he can with no plan, crappy plans. That's what the Knight of Swords does. The Knight of Swords is just all about, let's rush in, let's disorganized. I don't have any plans. My plan sucks. And, we're back to Wile E. Coyote. Wile E. Coyote, he needs to chill out. Read The Art of War or something, and make some better plans. But he doesn't. He goes in full steam with crappy plans. And the Knight is also about war, too. It's all about war. And if we look back at the pages, the Page of Wands was very Mars-oriented or war-oriented. But he's a page. Oh, look, the little kid's making war in the page. Oh, that's so cute. The Knight of Swords, though, he knows what he's doing. This is actual war. This is actual conflict. This is actual stuff. But he's rushing in, no plan. So Arthur Waite, again, top right, Arthur Waite talks about war. War is a big thing here. Bravery, destruction, and ruin. I mean, that's a pretty serious allegation there. I mean, I'm just saying that's a pretty serious allegation when we come to the Knight. War, bravery, destruction, and ruin. Could we have some spoiled plans here? Could we have some bad things happening possibly? Maybe. Maybe this is pretty serious keywords here. But the big key is the Knight is rushing in to get things done. When are we going to be happy to see that? When are we going to be happy to see that? Ruin, maybe we never, ever may be happy to see that. But war, maybe never happy to see that. But rushing in, that rushing in aspect with no plans. A court case. We're going to be happy to see the Knight in a court case. Let's be honest here. Maybe if the court case is rounding up, it's stalled. Maybe if it's stalled, maybe I'll be happy for some movement, any movement. But if we're just at the start of the court case, do you really want to go into a court case with no plan? Do you really? I don't. So you need to have some plan. Maybe that's not a good sign. Maybe it is. Depends on what type of case it is and where you're at. So rushing in with no plan. What about falling in love? Let's fall in love. A lot of times that works. A lot of times that works. You can't strategize love sometimes. You just have to sort of go with it. You got to roll with the flow. You need to roll with the flow sometimes in love. And the Knight of Swords could be that rolling on in, hoping for the best. Sometimes you just got to do that. So, you can't really plan love a lot of times. Maybe it's good news when we have falling in love. Maybe our crush likes us. Is he coming back at the top right here? Is he coming back or not? The Knight of Swords says maybe he is. Maybe he is. Maybe we have that movement. The Knight of Wands probably would be better right here. I mean, come on. But the Knight of Swords could be that he's rushing in. He's getting it done. Now, again, we're talking about bravery, war, ruin, being in a court case with some bravery, with some warlike challenges. It could be a pretty good thing as well. So you sort of have to navigate the situation in order to get some better understanding of how the Knight of Swords is going in. But for the general part, we're rushing in. We're rushing in and we're starting war. So you sort of have to accommodate that. Now, who are the roomies? Who are my roomies over here? We need some roommates. I mean, we do. What are some natural roommates here? Well, the Seven of Pentacles is one of the roommates, is one of the decans that shares room with the Knight. The Seven of Pentacles is about planting things and waiting for them to grow, planting things and getting that crop out of it. And the Knight of Swords rushed in and, did the planting. The Knight of Swords rushed in and did the planting. Now, the Eight and Nine of Swords sort of makes sense. The Eight of Swords, we rushed in, we didn't have a plan, we got captured, we got tied up, and we have boundaries now, right? We should have had a plan. We should have had a plan, but we didn't. And because of that, now we're stuck on that Eight of Swords combination here. And the Nine of Swords, the plan, the rushing in with no plan went terribly awry. We got nightmares. It's official. It's official. We got nightmares. I mean, call the local news agencies and tell them that we got nightmares because we rushed in. We didn't have a plan. So having a plan is going to be a little bit better if we're going to wage war and just get on in there and get it done now. The Knight of Swords is our person, is our key. If we want some strategies, maybe not. So these are the roomies for the Knight of Swords. Again, when I say roomies, let's talk about rushing into love. Rushing into love. If I have the Knight of Swords and I have an Eight of Swords in the same reading, we got roommates. Those roommate combination really, really points to rushing in. This is really rushing in. It could speed up. In other words, if you're thinking maybe it's going to be a couple of months before we get back together, you get a couple of roommates with this Knight of Swords, it could be a lot sooner than that. It could be a lot sooner than that. You need to start taking that seriously at some point. All right. So let's talk about the lover. Let's talk about the Johnny Depp, Don Juan movie here. We're talking about the Nine of Cups. Now, you got to have the romantic in here somewhere, right? And the romantic is the Knight of Cups. He just knows what he's doing. He knows how to make people happy. It's very, very good. And one of the suggested jobs for the Knight of Cups, because of sort of that empathy or that emotional connection they're capable of getting, would be a counselor or a therapist and things like that. So the Knight of Cups, we're looking at that passion and that love. And, most of the listings and definitions for this card talk about romance. So if you're looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love in too many spaces, another broken heart looking for love, it could be the Knight of Cups. So, you get the passion. You need to have the Don Juan in here somewhere. He is the dreamer. Similar to the Page of Cups. Now, I know we're talking about the Page of Cups and Knight of Cups. What's the difference? The Page is a beginner. Oh, look, he's so cute. He's in love. The Page, he's so cute. He's a beginner. The Knight, more experienced. He's more experienced. He has that under his belt. Imagination, too. He's able to imagine better things, better places, more good stuff. Invitation and enticement. Again, we're talking about, Arthur Waite. The Don Juan, dreamer, imagination, invitation. So if you're looking for a marriage invitation, this is pretty good. Incitement, if you're looking for someone to do that. So the Knight and the Page of Cups, they go to a bar. Okay, this is kind of stupid because the Page of Cups is an introvert and more of a poet. And I'm not sure why they would be in a bar. But the Knight and the Page go to a bar to pick up some women. Now, the Page is going to approach him. Again, he's an introvert. He's going to be like, hello, I'm Bill. Yeah. And the Knight, though, is going to come along. He's going to be like, hey there, I'm Bill. And the person would be like, hello. And the Page is going to be like, hey, I was talking to that one, man. Come on, stupid Knight. And so the Knight is really gonna clean up here, because the Knight is Don Juan. The Knight is good at the romance, the empathy. It's not as good at getting that done. The Knight is good at romance. So the Page wouldn't be there. Come on, the Page is going to be home. The Page is an introvert. The stupid example. Well, okay, so when are we going to be happy to see the Knight of Cups? When are we going to be happy to see the Knight of Cups? Is he cheating on me? That's probably not the best time. Let's face the facts. That's probably not the best time. Is he cheating on me? Is probably not the best one. Okay, but let's go. My crush, does he like me or not? If I throw down that Knight of Cups, that's looking pretty good. That's looking real good. We're getting married soon. Knight of Cups, looking good. Is he coming back? That's looking good as well. Anything where we need a little bit of love, romance, looking for love in all the wrong places. So let's look at the Knight of Cups roomies. Who are the roommates here? The Seven of Swords, stealing them hearts away from that Page of Cups. Stealing those hearts. The Knight of Cups, and we're sort of talking about that. The Seven of Swords makes sense because we're stealing the hearts. Seven, all about taking those swords. Now we're talking about the 8 and the 9. The 8 is moving out of love. We got rejected. We got moved out of love, and we're moving out right there. And that is the roomies of the Knight of Cups as well, along with the 9 having all the love. Look at all that love in the background. Look at all those cups. Ooh, the Knight, the Don Juan is collecting that love right there. Knight's not messing around with that love. I'm just saying now. So we have cards that make sense. We have roommates. So again, if we have the Knight of, okay, is he coming back? We have the Knight of Cups, and then we have the Seven of Swords. We have movement from the Seven of Swords, and it's a roommate. It's a roomie of that Knight. So we're really, really looking, really being serious now about that love coming back, So let's look at the most annoying of the Knights, the Knight of Pentacles. This is the worker of the year, the workaholic. But but they're bad at with people. They're bad with people. Let me tell you the story. Okay, we have this one guy that I used to know. He was the worker of the decade. He had been there like 30 years. He does miracles. He doesn't do standard workload. He does miracles. He was amazing, but he was the most annoying person I've ever met in my life. He was so stubborn and obstinate. They kept him far, far away from the telephone and customers. They wanted him just to go and do work on the computer and don't talk to anybody. And that's what he loved. That's what he wanted. That's what he specifically asked about. And yeah, they kept him far away from people. So, because he would just make a customer mad. So he did the computer work in the background. In the 90s, we called them the closet programmers. They were the programmers. They just wanted to code, and they don't want to talk to people. They don't want to do customer service. They hate people, but they're the amazing workers. They do miracles. When we wanted to invite him to lunch, he only wanted to go to his restaurant. If you invited him to lunch and you weren't going to his restaurant, he'd say, "No, I'm not going. You're not going to my restaurant." He'd tell you that. It was so annoying, man. The dude was so annoying. Stubborn. Oh my God. Stubborn, rigid, heavy, feeling heavy, slow. Not a slow worker. They were worker of the decade. But man, they were stubborn and rigid. You ain't going to my restaurant? Then I'm not going. I only go to one restaurant. They hate change. They hate change with a passion. If there's some change involved, if they're moving from here to there, they don't like that at all. But you need some work done. You need some code written. It's going to be worker of the decade. Worker of the decade. Stubborn and rigid and so annoying. Not good with people. If you get this person and you go out on a date with the Knight of Cups, oh man, that's going to be horrific. That's going to be horrific. Those two will not get along at all. We're talking about the Knight of Cups is an extrovert. The Knight of Wands is an extrovert. We got some extroverts here. You get that Knight of Pentacles in the combination though, man, that's going to be really, really annoying. People are just going to kick the Knight of Pentacles out of the party within 5 minutes. I mean, come on, let's do it. All right, so let's look at the Knight of Pentacles in the roommates. Going to be defensive. The Seven of Wands, it makes sense that the Knight of Pentacles is defensive. They don't like dealing with people. They don't like change. They're very obstinate. They're very rigid, and being defensive is going to be part of their personality. So there's the roommate, the defensive Seven of Wands. Now we're looking at the Eight of Pentacles, the hard worker, that stable eight. The stable eight, the hard worker, makes sense. It makes sense. This is perfect combination. Now, again, the dude retired after 30 years. Anyway, retiring after 30 years, that Nine of Pentacles. We did our work. We were the closet programmer. We got in that. They never put him in the closet. I mean, when they talked about closet programmer, if you were a programmer back in the 90s, you know the phrase of closet programmer. Again, it has nothing to do with being in a closet. It just means that they wanted to be left alone. They want to be left alone. They want to do their work. They want to go home, and they don't want to talk to you at all. They have no interaction with you at all. That would be their ideal scenario. So that's what that was. Anyway, they retire after 30 years. The Nine of Pentacles, we got that retirement money after 30 years. We're there at home with our garden, with our dove or whatever that bird is. You know, everything worked out, my friends. We retired. Because we were the worker of the decade. They just threw money at us because we were the worker of the decade. We didn't want to talk to anybody, but you know, that's that. All right. So that is the end of the night. Thank you so much for watching. By the way, did you know I had a Patreon? Look at all these Patreon members. I love all of you. Thank you so much. And what am I talking about Patreon? What am I talking about? The handout for this video is a PDF file. You get it on Patreon if you're a supporter. Not only that, but you get all the handouts for all the classes that I've ever done and the Tarot Oracles book. I teach you to read tarot the easy way. No memorization. You can start reading tarot today. We got the court card guides. Okay, I'm also including the Fluffy Virgo Lenormand. This is a Lenormand deck, a digital copy of this deck. You get that too. What else do you get, you asked? I'm including 12 hours of drawing instruction. You see these drawings on the screen? I teach you how. I teach you how in a step-by-step manner, like you would get, at a professional instruction. Step-by-step manner, I teach you to draw. You can draw like this easily, I teach you. And then you can go do pet portrait commissions locally, make some money. And you get all this for $5. Can you imagine all this for $5? The Lenormand handouts, the Lenormand deck, the live stream spreads, medical tarot handouts, Tarot 101, tarot numerology, astrology, all the books that I've written, the decks and things like that. You get all of that in the Patreon at the $5 level. So thank you for Adam G, Alley Cat, Annie, the other Annie, Kim, Kristen, KSW, La Me, Larry, Brianna, Carmen, Gabriela, Lisa, Maureen, Carolyn, Cassandra, Richard, Sharon, Crystal, Dominica, Shintaro, Sanai, Fatima, Galatia, Sophia, Gary, Susan, Hikate's Crossing, Arena, Jessica, and Tanya. Thank you so much for being my supporter, and I greatly appreciate it. All of you are my roommates. I'm just saying all of you are my roommates. I love all of you. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching this video. Please hit like and subscribe. I put a ton of work into this, so please hit that like and subscribe button. More coming out. You're going to know court cards better than anybody else around you. I'm telling you once you finish this class. Thank you again, and we will see you next time.